Hi Gemini, and welcome to your reading for March 2019. My name is Melanie. This is a general reading, so of course it may or may not resonate for you. This is for Gemini Sun, Moon and Rising sign, and let's just dive right in. I use 5 cards. I choose 5 cards each month. The first card that came out for you guys, which is slightly hidden behind this lady here. Anyway, the first card representing past, excuse me, any past energies which may be affecting the present, and for that the Wheel of Fortune came through for Geminis this month. The second card there representing current issues, current situation this month, the Four of Coins, otherwise known as the Four of Pentacles. The third card being about possible obstacles that may show themselves this month to be wary of, the Fool card. The fourth card representing any helpful tools, things that may be of use this month, the Eight of Coins or the Eight of Pentacles card. And finally the outcome card for the month for Geminis in March is the King of Swords card. And the card that's lying down there, sort of standing alone or lying alone there, that represents the overall theme for the month, and I'll be reading about that card towards the end of the reading. And the card that came through for you guys is called Sea Turtle, and that means travel in many ways. So let's just dive in and see what each of these cards mean and how they all relate to each other. Starting with the past position, and the card in the past there, like I said, is the Wheel of Fortune. The Wheel of Fortune card is a card of fate, of destiny, representing life's, cyclical nature, change, karma, the cycles of life, the coming and going, the ups and downs. It's a positive card, certainly in the upright position. It's a powerful card. It represents change and things turning in your favour. And balance kind of being restored, and a new cycle can also represent good luck and having had some good luck. In the past position, the Wheel of Fortune card means that you've had a significant change in your life that has already come to pass, and that is affecting things in the present, which is kind of like a double whack there, because this is the card about change and change that has happened or is happening, and here we are having it saying change is some sort of significant change has already happened for you guys in the past. So that might have been, you might have got a new job, you might have a new relationship, you might have moved house, something big happened to you in the past. I would say positive, a positive change that was almost karmic in nature, that kind of had to happen. That felt like destiny in some way, that was a stroke of luck, was a bit of a godsend in some way, that came in and really changed something in your life. And now this this is affecting your current life, and how could it not really, because a change in the past still has ripple effects into the present and into the future. So let's just bear that in mind as we move through the cards. So the second card representing this month, current issues, current situation, the Four of Coins card for Geminis. Four of Coins is, or the Four of Pentacles, is a card about stability and security and possessions, finances, money, and having accumulated some stuff, whether that's finances, wealth, objects, accumulated or achieved some good solid things in your life, work, maybe you're in a good place with your job or your business or your hobby, but you're holding on tightly to whatever that is. So if you've managed to save a bit of money, or bought a house, or just kind of are in a place in your life right now where you have stuff that you've been wanting to acquire, and now you're like, right, that's it, I've got all these possessions now, I've worked hard for them, I'm a bit scared that something's going to happen to them, so I'm holding on really tightly. So it's a card of kind of being a bit too controlling, being very conservative with what one has, perhaps being a bit miserly or a bit mean, a bit restrictive out of fear. and kind of holding on to that illusion of stability, even though we might feel like we have a lot of stability and security now, having acquired things, or like I said, whether that's working hard for things, or maybe you've been gifted something. Now you're kind of like in this beautiful little comfort zone, but you're like, I just want to protect it. And of course you do. That makes sense, because you have wealth of some sort. You know, you have success. You have come to this place through either hard work or luck, kind of thing, and now you're trying to protect that. So whatever that is, that big change was, I think that came about in your past, whether that was a new job, a new relationship, you've moved places, you've what else? Any kind of really big life change, I would say, life event, and now you're like, oh my God, this is awesome, but I'm kind of freaking out a bit that I'm going to lose it finally now that I have it, and you're just almost just squeezing it a little too hard, clinging to it, hoarding it, almost suffocating the life out of it. So maybe think about that. Are you being a little bit too on guard? Are you being a bit selfish around something? Are you not kind of sharing the joy, sharing the love, sharing the wealth, whatever that is? But there's a sense of, I think to me, that comes from just a place of fear and insecurity, because you know what it's like to be without, and you now have. Instead of not having, you now have, and you're like, I'll be damned if I'm going to let this go. Moving on to possible obstacles that may show up this month. You guys have the Fool card. The Fool is the very first card of the major arcana. So much so it's the first card, its actually number is 0. So even before 1. And the Fool is starting off in his journey, or her journey, or their journey. With this bright, new, fresh, adventurous, spontaneous spirit. It's very, to me, it's very much a card of youthful abandonment, just being somewhat naive and just going out into the world to explore the world. The world is your oyster, kind of thing. Very much about living in the moment, about wanting to travel, whether that's physically travel or travel sort of mentally, learn new things. Everything is possible with this card. There's this sense of sort of freedom, and youthful optimism, and being, following your heart and having such faith in the world, because nothing much has happened to you at this point. So you're like, woohoo, I can just go out there and do and achieve anything. That's the general energies of this card. In terms of it being in the position of an obstacle, I think this is just cautioning Geminis to be still maintain a degree of maturity and thought about where you are heading, and if something new is coming in, or some new opportunities, or you're feeling very restless right now, I'm not saying not to go with that, but just to still not be too childish in that, because if you're watching this, chances are you're a grown up and you have some life experience and you have some responsibilities and you have the ability to think and reflect. So whilst you may want to just completely follow your heart, be carefree, be spontaneous, to just keep that within the wraps of what else you have to look after in your life. On the flip side, this card may be saying you are being too serious. Actually, this makes sense because I just said that out loud. Perhaps you are being a little too serious and too mature, and you actually need to inject a bit of that childlike wonder and new energy and enthusiasm about the world into your life. And I'm saying that makes sense because if we think about that Four of Coins card happening currently in this month of March, and being a little bit too restrictive, perhaps the Fool is coming along now to say, hey, you need to loosen up a little bit, and if you don't, that's going to block something that's going to get in the way this month. So maybe something very much to keep in mind, to either, and I think you'll know what this is, it is either to just rein it in a little bit, or to loosen the reins a little bit. I think it's just going to very much depend on you and your situation, which way you're needing to go there. Moving on to what may be helpful this month, helpful tools, another coins card. So you have two in this reading. The Eight of Coins, otherwise known as the Eight of Pentacles. This is a card of apprenticeship, of education, of working away in the background, being quite skilled, already being good at what you do, being a craftsman, or learning something new, but very much being in the background, toiling away at something, mastering techniques to move up a level. So it is hard. There's, it's an element of the hard work, repetitive, potentially hard work, having to sort of persist, to focus on getting things done, and that at times may be a bit dull, a bit you're thinking, what is the point of this? Sometimes why am I still working away at this in the background, needing, and it's taking up so much time and energy, despite the fact that you probably are learning something new or mastering something, but you're just a bit bored, feeling like you are a bit stuck in the rat race. In the helpful position, though, I think this card is just saying, encouraging you to keep going. It's number 8, so you're nearly at 10. That putting in that hard work, continuing on, you're closer to the end of something than you think. And it's a reminder to take pride in where you're at, into what you've achieved so far, your accomplishments, and that you are you're building on that good foundation, and consistency very much is the key. And just this card, I think, is a reminder to stay on track. So perhaps where you want to wander off a bit, and the Fool is kind of warning you not to be careful with what you're going. This card is saying, yeah, you need to stay steady and strong and still on that path, and you're still progressing and working away at something, and that will pay off. Certainly, again, I think financially. So maybe maybe what has happened in the past has been a change of job, or a change in your financial situation, a significant change, and you're like, maybe you've got a new job, you're earning some more money, but you're having to kind of not go back to the beginning of something. You're taking your expertise with you, but you're like, still, it's a new job, so you have to learn the whole new system again, of a new workplace or whatever. Or say you've got a new business, there's a lot to figure out, even though you already have got a lot of skills and knowledge. Now you're having to learn a whole new, like a heap of new stuff, plus bring in the old stuff. You're like, man, is this ever going to end? Yes, it will, and it's going to pay off. So hang in there. Certainly, because the outcome card is, quite a strong card, the King of Swords. So this is a king. The Court card, this could actually represent a person in your life. Could be a man, it might not be. Someone in a position of power and authority, who's quite wise. The King of Swords, the swords represents thinking, beliefs, matters of the mind, truth, words, conversations, worries. The King of Swords is a clear thinking, very bright authority figure who's very respected, who doesn't suffer fools gladly, who's come through a bit, who's sort of transformed himself and his life, and has a brilliant mind, can see both sides of the argument, can be a little bit cold and harsh at times, very logical, can be seen as a bit harsh and distant. So whether this is a person like this, who's in a position of power or authority, like a judge, a lawyer, a doctor, somebody coming into your life like this, who's very analytical, or maybe you're coming out this month with this kind of mindset of being able to think very clearly and being at the top of your game, certainly mentally, intellectually, being very focused and determined, and having a lot of clarity and vision. This King of Swords is he a visionary kind of thing, and he knows how to get it. He's very calm, he can think through things, he can analyse things, be very logical, he's got all the information and the knowledge, and can move ahead with that in a very strong authoritative position. So it looks like this month you're, if this is the outcome card, coming to a position of that, of really strong certainty and position of authority, perhaps in your own life, about something you believe in very much, or the way you've been thinking about things, and how you really are taking hold of the reins and moving into a position of leadership in some way, shape or form, whether that's physical leadership, running the show, running a business, becoming a manager, leading a team, or just feeling more in a leadership, more clarity in your role in your own life, where you want to go. You're suddenly becoming a lot more clearer in your thinking about who you are and where you're going in your life, and being able to sort of see the bigger picture really quite calmly and with a steady hand, essentially. So finally, I'm just going to read from this little booklet called the Dreamtime Reading Cards. So the cards come from this deck, and I use these cards as sort of like oracle cards. The Dreamtime is the Aboriginal Australian spiritual belief system. I just love these cards. Visually, I love them. I think they're very beautiful. They have dot paintings, very typical of Aboriginal Australian art, the dot paintings, and I love the words and the meanings behind the cards. So the card that came through for you guys is Sea Turtle, and that represents travel. So I'm just going to start reading. The sea turtle starts life as an egg buried in sand on a beach. When the time comes, it turns into a tiny little hatchling and is drawn to the water by the sound of the sea, using imprinted knowledge that it must get to the ocean and the safety it represents. In the ocean it will grow very large, travel far and see the world. The sea turtle symbolises travel both internally and overseas. It can live for more than 100 years, so it also represents the knowledge gained from experience, not only in this lifetime, but the information imprinted from our ancestors as well, which makes sense for me in terms of the King of Swords card there. Knowledge gained over a lifetime and beyond. So even though it swims far on the ocean's currents and sees so much of the world, it instinctively returns to the place where it was born to lay its eggs, and its children will do the same. The sea turtle is associated with the element of water. Water is fluid, it flows and travels, pushing the turtle along on its currents. Water also corresponds to emotions. In the sea turtle's case, it is the emotional attachment you have to home and family. Take heart in knowing that not all choices are yours to make. That, to me, represents the Wheel of Fortune cards, sort of fate and chance and karma stepping in there. You didn't make a choice, something bigger than you came into play. So sometimes energies are at work that are greater than you, and sometimes it is wise to surrender to the pull. How lovely. So it looks like you are going perhaps on a bit of a journey this month, whether that's physically or metaphorically. You've already been going through life cycles, certainly with the Wheel of Fortune card. Then you've got the Fool card there showing up as a little bit of an obstacle, but it's kind of like you get down to business, you loosen up something or you tighten up something, and then you come out at the end with this really clear, logical way of looking at things, and having quite a grounded, strong sense of self and belief in yourself, and perhaps even in the bigger wide world this month. A very strong position to end in, I think, with the King of Swords. So Gemini, thank you so much for for watching and listening to this video. I hope it's been useful to you. Obviously, like I said, it may not resonate, and that's totally fine. Check out your other, your rising sign or your moon sign, and all the best for March, and I hope to see you back in April. Bye.